Idols? It's CC Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. I gotta be honest, I don't feel so hot today, but I did promise earlier this week in the last video that this story time was gonna come this week, so I'm gonna do my best to get through this video. So as stated earlier this week on Monday's video, I got an email from a guy. That's right, a guy on this channel. He's Korean, lives in Korea, been in Korea all his life. He wanted to offer some perspective as to why some Korean guys, himself included, want to date foreign girls. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this point of view and to get this different take, because something like 90% of this community are all women. So yeah, that's rare to hear from a guy. Before we get into this video, question of the day, you'll see why later in the story. It's a pretty reoccurring element throughout the story. Are you okay with your partner having friends of the opposite gender? Personally, I don't care. I feel like if I'm with someone, then that means I trust them. I'm not gonna be with a guy I don't trust. And if I can't trust him to be around girls, then I don't need to be with him. I don't expect him to tell me that I can't hang out with guys or who I can hang out with, so I'm not gonna tell him who he can and can't hang out with. That's just my take. I would love to hear more from you. Sound off, go off in the comments. And while you're at it, please leave a like on the video. Please watch until the end to help drive up the engagement, drive up everything that sends good vibes to YouTube's algorithm to let them know to share this video so we can grow our community. So he said first he wants to share his story dating Korean girls, then he wants to share his story dating foreign girls and why he has his preferences. He's gonna list 5 reasons to why he has his preferences. Quick disclaimer, this is one man's opinions, one man's views, and one man's feelings. He does not speak for all men, nor does he speak for all Korean people. This is just his experience and he was kind enough to share them with us, so be nice. Okay, so diving into the story finally. Believe it or not, he preciously asked to be called Eugene. The Rapunzel fans know what I'm talking about. Flynn Rider, aka Eugene Fitzherbert, whatever. That man was fine. He's like one of the finest, I think, Disney prince-like figures ever. Hit him with that smolder.
Here comes the smolder. This is kind of an off day for me. This doesn't normally happen.
So Eugene, in describing himself, he says that he thinks he's handsome but nothing to swoon over. He's not like the next BTS member or a K-pop idol, and he's not a handsome chaebol from a K-drama. Just an average Korean man, but he did say that since he's pretty tall, he is pretty popular with girls. So the first story he wanted to share with us was the first girl he dated ever, and it was when he was in high school. She was Korean. He said it was a pretty typical relationship. They would study in cafes, but meet up before the hagwon, sometimes have time to meet up after hagwon, study, break, lunchtime, things like that, you know, school romances. He did say the reason that they broke up is because she didn't like when he talked to other girls casually in passing, just friendly, non-flirty stuff. You may notice some reoccurring elements throughout this video. He also said that whenever he would hang out with his guy friends, he felt like he did something wrong or was bad because he would get in trouble when she was upset. He said he often felt pretty tense throughout his relationship with her. So naturally, the relationship just fizzled out. It was like his first high school romance, but he said it did leave a bad taste in his mouth. But at the same time, they were just kids. So after high school, he didn't have a relationship until after his military service, because he said it's really common for girls to either break up with their guy right before the military service or at some point in the middle of their military service. So he didn't want to focus on any sort of dating until after he was done. So once Eugene had finished his military service, he went on to uni. He did manage to find a relationship, but he said it was hard to balance working and dating and studying. Now this girl was his second girlfriend, also Korean. He said the worst thing about the relationship is they fought all the time, and this part kind of triggers me because it's very familiar. He said that she would normalize it and say like, this is what couples do, couples fight, it's only because I'm so passionate, and bruh, my ex hit me with the same thing. I've not been in that many relationships, to be fully honest. Like I think I've had 2 serious relationships and I'm 30. I've never had that experience in arguing with someone as much as I did with the last ex. Like literally, we'd be in the middle of a fight and I would just laugh and be like, what the fuck? And he said, well, this is what couples do, it's normal, it's because we care. And that's exactly what she said to him. She said she only fights because she's passionate and because she cares. I don't like that. That's giving, I only hit you because I love you. It's toxic. Sorry, war flashbacks. Seriously, don't let people normalize anything that you're uncomfortable with in a relationship. If you don't want to fight and you don't want to argue, don't let that be normalized. That's not healthy. I never fought with my exes. I've never really been in arguments until my last relationship. So yeah, sorry, back to the story. This video's not about me. I do that all the time. It's just so much of this is relatable. Anyway, he said one of the things they fought a lot about was the fact that she was insanely jealous.
Yeah, I'm jealous, yeah.
He wasn't even allowed to study with girls.
All right, but don't look at me like it's my fault because it's your sister's fault too.
Another thing they fought about was money. He said being a college student and dating and trying to find time to work and study, He was, you know, money was pretty tight for him, but being with her, she always expected him to pay for everything. So that was another thing that caused him stress and made them argue. So there were times where she asked him if he wanted to meet up for dinner and he had to say no, not because he didn't want to see her, but because he couldn't afford to pay for her as well. Eugene said he didn't think it was fair that she never treated him like she never offered to help him out financially. And much like his high school relationship, she didn't like when he would spend time even with his guy friends because she wanted to spend time with him, and he always felt guilty or felt bad when he chose to hang out with his friends over her. He said the big fight that caused them to finally break up, there was one time after class where they agreed to meet up at a certain place on campus, and a girl, a classmate, was returning a pencil to him that he had loaned to her. And the girlfriend sees this and she went off. She got so upset with him. She was angry. He's like, what's the problem? I have a pencil and I offered it to her when she asked for a pencil. Should I have lied and said, sorry, I don't have a pencil. Sorry, my girlfriend won't let me share my pencil with you? He said she was furious, and I said, was I supposed to lie to her and say I don't have pencil? It makes no sense to me. Finally, one day he said, like, bruh, I can't take this anymore. It's too much on my mental. So he finally just said, yeah, 헤어지자. Let's break up. And she refused. She said no. He said if one person wants to end the relationship is finished. It doesn't work if one person refuses. It takes two people. He was done. Like, she still tried to contact him for a while after that, but after a while, he said, I think she got the message because I stopped replying to her, I blocked her, and when she would see me, I wouldn't acknowledge her, and that's how that relationship ended. He did want to say not all Korean girls are like this. He doesn't want to make Korean girls look bad because he's only dated 2 girls, and he did also say, in their defense, this was when they were very young, you know, high school, freshman year of college, you're still very young. You're still learning and developing. So he doesn't want anybody to be like, oh, Korean girls are crazy. That's not the point of this video at all. He's had 2 Korean girlfriends, and it was 2 similar experiences that he just wanted to share with us. So now into his first experience with a foreign girlfriend. I do like the way he came at it with this email. He said he thinks it's a fine line between a fetish and an attraction. He doesn't want to make foreign girls watching this video feel uncomfortable like he has a fetish for foreign girls. He says he just has a preference and an attraction that he can't explain. I'm reading the email. He also said he'd be lying if, you know, he didn't mention the fact that whenever his friends, his Korean male friends, found out he was dating a foreign girl, they got all excited and wanted to ask him about what the sex was like. He said his Korean friends were like, ooh, you're dating a foreigner, sex must be fun or interesting. And when they think about foreign girl, they only think about sex. That's usually how it starts initially. I suppose. He goes on to explain why he thinks Korean guys make this connection to foreign girls a bit later in the email, so we'll get to that in the video. So this first foreign girlfriend was also someone he met in university. He said it was something that happened by chance. It wasn't like he was seeking her out or she was seeking him out, but one day the professor put them together because his English was pretty decent and they had to get a project done. He said he really liked how carefree, honest, outgoing, and friendly she was. So one day he realized they were kind of falling behind on the project, so he asked her if she would like to meet for coffee so they can work on this outside of the classroom and off campus. And she agreed. She said, you know what, thank you, that makes a lot of sense because I don't fully understand what's going on. And to his surprise, when they got to the cafe, she offered to pay for him. And that was one thing he said that just stood out in his mind because he realized she was so different from any other girl he had ever dated. You know, he was like, oh, no, it's okay, I'll pay for me. And she was like, no, but I insist, I appreciate you taking this extra step to help me get caught up. You've been really nice and helpful, and I just want to show you that I appreciate that. He said that shook his world.
My life will never be the same. Girl, you came and changed the way I walk, the way I talk. I cannot explain.
Rock my world, you know you did. He said it was just a first for him. Again, not to say that Korean girls don't treat their men to things like that, but it just never happened to him.
For the first time in forever.
So yeah, he felt that she was so different, and while they were supposed to be getting their schoolwork done, he admits that he was more interested in getting to know her personally. He began to kind of flirt with her, and she called him out on it. He was just like, oh my god, like that was so bold. And they luckily had this banter and this connection and decided to go out. He said, for me, it's hard to date a girl, but also feel like I'm with a friend. Girlfriend is girlfriend, friend is friend, but she felt like both. That is so sweet, and that is goals. He said with her, he felt like he could relax and be himself. He didn't have to be tense. He could be carefree and just chill. He also said one thing he noticed immediately was she did not care if he was off talking with a girl or hanging out with a girl or making casual conversation with a girl. He said it was kind of like a reflex where if a girl would ask him a question, he would kind of tense up and look over to her and expect to get in trouble, but she was just like, you're adults, you can talk to whoever you want to talk to. He said she was not fazed.
Don't faze me at all. Just don't faze me at all.
So they were together for a whole year before she sadly had to leave the country and return to her home after finishing her studies. The second girlfriend he dated was after uni. She was also a foreigner. She was actually newly a permanent resident in Korea because of her work, so that was more ideal given how his last relationship had just ended. This was a bit of a shorter romance though. He said, you know, being in full adult mode post-uni, they just couldn't calibrate their work schedules. They were just way too busy for each other. But he said it was much the same. She was someone that was his friend and his girlfriend, was more carefree and laid back, let him live his life. She lived her life. She wasn't controlling or jealous, and he really felt like an equal partnership. So the third relationship, the one he's currently in, also another foreigner, believe it or not, they met on Tinder. I know, it's Tinder, but he said for him it worked.
Bombastic side eye.
He said it's only been 6 months so far, but again, it's much the same, where she'll treat him sometimes. She's a really bold, independent, confident, friendly person. She doesn't add stress to his life. She's able to make time to hang out with him. His parents met her and they like her. And she likes living in Korea so far, so she's looking to maybe make that a permanent thing. One thing he wanted to include in the email was how great their sex life is.
What?
He said she opened his mind a lot.
Okay.
He said he's hoping that third time's the charm. So far, so good. Shout out to y'all if y'all watching. And I wish you guys the best. So, now for this part of the video, he wanted to give 5 reasons as to why he personally has a preference for dating foreigners over Korean girls. By the way, this list that he put, he said is in no particular order. 1, he said foreign girls are more likely to want children, which personally, I think that has a lot to do with foreign women in the West tend to have more options when it comes to that. You know, in Korea, when you have a kid, you're kind of expected to just give up your career and everything you worked for. Whereas in the States, in Canada, Australia, Europe, you can do both. You know, there's time off of work. You can adjust and calibrate to being a mom and having your career. It's not easy, but it is often very doable. A lot of women do it all the time. So I think that's kind of a Korea thing, not so much a Korean woman thing. The 2 Korean girls he dated, obviously that was very early on. Like, they don't talk much about kids. They were kids themselves. But he said, like, even with his Korean guy friends, when they're talking about the potential of having kids, they're just not interested. Korean girls are just not feeling that right now, and I don't blame them. Personally, I really don't blame them. In the West, like, the foreign girls he's had, granted, it has been later in life, so that is a point where you start thinking about kids. He said, you know, they're very open to being moms, and he loves that because he wants kids. 2, he said foreign girls are more free thinkers, independent, different opinions, open mind, more laid back. I can be myself easier around a foreign woman. They're less controlling and I can relax. I'm not as tense. That is one thing that was pretty like reoccurring throughout this video. And not to say that foreign girls don't get jealous and possessive too. I think that's every male or female, regardless of where you come from, you can be a jealous person. Like, we see it all the time. You hear about it all the time. I have heard many times from guys in Korea how Korean girls are very, very jealous and possessive. For example, my homegirl Bria. It's been a while since I mentioned her, but there's been many times where she says, you know, she just left the gym or she's walking down the street. For those who don't know, Bria has big old titties. She has like wild, sexy, curly orange hair. She has tattoos all over her, and she is a full figure. Like, she does not look like a Korean person. Like, she looks very much the opposite of Korean people. She gets a lot of attention. Like, a lot of people look at her, male or female. I stare at her, I'm like, hey Bria, how you doing? You looking good? There have been many times where she's just walking down the street minding her business, and there'll be a Korean couple walking past her, and the guy kind of stares, and then the Korean girl clutches her man tighter and then gets mad at Bria and him, like, y'all, like, hey, he's mine. She's like, I don't want your man. Korean girls don't let their boyfriends hang around women, talk to other women. You're not allowed to. That happened to me. I've mentioned this on my channel a few times, but I only had one Korean boyfriend, and we kind of ended on pretty good terms. It was a long distance thing. He moved back to the States while I was still in Korea, so we were kind of done with the distance. And I got to Korea. I went back in 2019 and I saw him. And I was doing a live stream on Instagram and I saw him. I was like, oh shit, small world. But I remember up until then we would kind of text or send memes and be in touch so often. And he told me, hey, my girlfriend doesn't want me to talk to other girls, so I can't talk to you anymore. I'm not allowed to talk to you anymore. So I was like, oh, you know, that's unfortunate, but, you know, I wish y'all the best. Good luck. Things like that.
Right. That's it then. Goodbye, Lily. Good luck.
3, I like having a partner, not someone to look after. I like being protective and all, but foreign girls are more independent. I think that has a lot to do with how, you know, Korean women kind of, and again, it's not just Korean women, a lot of foreign girls women period, just expect the man to pay. And he said more often than not, it's a foreign girl who is not expecting that or demanding that, so he feels more relaxed, and he likes a woman who doesn't rely on him too much. 4, I hate to bring this up and admit it, but it's true. Sex is usually better with Western foreign women.
Aye.
They tend to be more open and honest with expressing themselves, very expressive and bold and confident. What are your thoughts on this? I think also that kind of has a lot to do with Korea's overall culture, where sex is like this taboo thing we don't really talk about.
We don't talk about
Sex. And Koreans have to sneak around and meet up at sketchy love motels to get it on. Whereas in the West, it's on TV, it's in the music, it's open, it's out there. It's nothing to hide. And we're adults, you know? And number 5, I feel like I'm appreciated more by my foreign girlfriends. They don't expect as much, but appreciate more. Korean women expect you to pay. They expect you to prepare romantic events, so they are not as grateful because you're supposed to do this. But Western women always say thank you and show me their appreciation, and I really, really like that. This video is so different from what I normally do. It's usually a girl talking about an experience with a guy, so it was really nice, and I'm really thankful to Eugene for taking the time out to, because he said his English isn't that good, but you know, they're always really humble about that, but he tried his best, and he said, I hope you can understand my English, my speaking, and my thought. But yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to submit this, because this is something we never really get to see on my channel, hearing from a guy. Y'all, if y'all are out there watching the videos, please don't be shy to email me. We are nice. So if you enjoyed this video, I have playlists very similar to this. You'll see them on the outro screen in a couple of seconds. And they're very bingeable if I do say so myself. So thank you for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong!